I don't know if you, if there is any advice. Lately, I'm having so much fear, like the smallest things, but the feeling in the body of fear is getting very strong.
Yeah, this is very good. I think I always think this is great.
Yes.
The person is like, no, this is not good. This is bad news. And what's the imagining coming with the fear? Is it about a particular thing, or it's just an underlying current of fear?
Well, underlying is like, I think all my life.
Yeah.
But this strong, like that's really getting like a panic attack, is when certain kind of noises are coming.
Yeah.
And which the noises are not dangerous or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just like somehow like this is the button how it's switched on.
Yeah. And what do you do when you experience that fear?
I tried like all the options. In the past, I was listening a lot to non-duality speakers, and somehow I got the idea that I have to open up to the feeling, and I did this, and it was such a torture. And then finally, I leave my flat when these noises are coming.
What sort of noises are they?
Like for example, if the neighbor is putting music on.
Oh, yeah.
But very, like, I'm not saying it's loud, it's very, very not loud, and anybody else would say, what is your problem? It's nothing, I nearly don't hear it, the other people say.
Yeah.
So.
And how long has this been happening for?
Like it's already for years, but that is so strong is only in the last 2 months or last, yeah, it's.
And when you used to lay there and feel it, what would you do?
Somehow try as much feel as I can and think as few as I can.
Yeah.
And I know, like from other experiences, I know that any problem, any feeling is no problem if you only feel it and you don't think. But I cannot make it happen.
No, you can't, no. I mean, really, ultimately, it's all just one happening and there's nobody ever doing anything. But the way that life works is one thing touches another and then there's movement. So there might be information given by the Lisa's body, and then it might affect that body to move in a different way. But it's not actually separate entities. There's no Lisa here that's instructing you to move separately. It's like the wind blowing the trees, and then the trees rattle in the wind. Everything is like an endless movement of one energy expressing itself. And these words aren't telling someone to do something. They're an energy moving, and then that might move that energy, it might not. I would carry on listening to non-duality, but I would sit in the fear. I know it's so unbearable and so uncomfortable, and I would totally go for the fear when it comes and do all the worst possible scenarios.
For example, I'm wearing this special headphone, which was very expensive, but it filters, so it helps me a lot. So if you say the worst possible scenario would be to take it off when these noises are coming, even to take it off.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so like the outer situation is nothing dangerous, but if I have only to enter the room, it's like if I had to enter a room with hungry lions or something.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And when it's happening, I would take the fear thought to the extreme. Not that you can do it, but it might happen. So I would tell yourself the worst possible things that could possibly happen to you.
Not even try to not think.
Yeah, no, I would go for it to the max. I would let the thoughts go to the max. Because at the moment, this is a primal therapy. This isn't exactly non-duality. At the moment, the feeling is repressed, and so the feeling just stays locked in the body and adds to itself all the time. And this is why the panic attacks happen. And they're never allowed to fully express themselves. Really, your primal fear is death.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. People tell a lot, like the first fear is the fear of death, but I feel all the time like there's no fear of death. It's only the fear it's fear of life. Then.
Well, that's kind of the same thing, death and life. I mean, you just associated with the wrong side. Because for birth there has to be death. For life there has to be no life. Because really, right here in this instant, there's not life or no life. There is neither. In non-duality, there is not a world or not a world. Did that make sense? There's not life and there's not death. So let's try and go for it a bit with the primal therapy, because this has got to come out, because otherwise you're going to be held hostage by the fear. So you've got to let the fear come out through the body. Have you got a friend that you could maybe do this with?
Well, I have to. I'm even doing some kind of therapy, but it's very, very, very soft and
gentle. Yeah, I know.
So I don't think he would agree to do this.
Yeah, maybe
with
not.
Me.
What type of therapist is he?
It's somatic experiencing.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Somatic experiencing. I've never heard of that.
As far as I know, it's the best which is there, like at least better than a lot of traditional therapies.
Well, this is what I would suggest. This is what I used to do, and I had but my personality is a Shiva personality. I like to walk into the dark closet than keep the dark closet shut. You sound like you might like to keep the dark closet shut. I'm like, what's in there? I'm running in.
Well, like the way I'm thinking, I always want to know. I have got like a detective's mind.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in dark things.
Oh yeah. Then maybe you like this therapy. I'll tell you what you do, and just see if the body does it or not. Okay, so this is you sit when the fear begins. You sit there, and your goal is to encourage the fear. You've got to encourage it, not in any way. You don't want to be using non-duality to suppress it or to keep it down or to avoid it. No teachings, nothing which will suppress it. You've got to encourage it to your max. So, but this isn't like you going into total panic, because you're willingly doing this as a therapy. You know when you go into it that you're doing this on purpose. So there is a little bit of a removal from it. It's not like you're going to purposely spark it. You're going to go for it. So you sit there, and as the fear comes, you feel the sensation and where it is in the body, and then you really go for it. So you start saying, if you've got no one in the room, don't do this while other people are around or can hear you. You start saying what the fear is. So, and you take it to the extreme. So you find a little bit of the fear. You fear that the neighbours is going to invade you and take over your life, or whatever it is, and that they're going to take over, or it's never going to end. And you begin to take it to its extreme. So you start off with one thought about the fear, and then it's like a ladder. You keep taking it to its edge and to its extreme, and you really go for it. And at points you'll just start laughing, and it won't be very serious. But as much as you can, you encourage, and you go to the darkest place possible. You go for every darkness, everything that you can go for, you go for. And the fear is going to get so intense that it will overtake your body. It will scare you so much that you'll most probably begin to shake and cry and scream, and then the feeling will come up, and there will be an explosion of some sort, like you'll cry or you'll scream, and then it will just go out of your body. And it won't be that big a deal.
That sounds good. Yes, I think there is something I didn't try, so I have to try it.
Yeah. But you've got to absolutely go for it. Why I was saying that to do it with a friend, because if you do it with a friend, then you won't have such a tendency to leave. Like really, really go for it. And then if you get stuck or blocked, you get your friend to encourage the fear. You get someone else to, and nothing's going to die, because your nature is beingness. Your nature is freedom. But you've always been told to repress that fear. And so that fear's always been a low level. You've always been told to think of positive things. Even in spirituality, you're told, you know, you've got to change your thoughts, you've got to change your mind. It's always going in the other direction. But this fear can't haunt you. It's only a sensation, and the sensation will pass. Who you truly are is that beingness, which is there when the fear's there or not, and that beingness is so safe and secure. It never gets hurt, it never gets murdered. It's always free.
Yeah, it's so funny, because I know this with and just this is the angle how it got me and told me like I don't control everything. Yeah.
Nice. It's really intense, all these sensations, but they can't hurt anything. Sensation is simply sensation. The human is totally hypnotized. The separate person is hypnotized by sensation. It really believes that the sensation can hurt you. It really believes that you can be damaged by sensation. But sensation is like an energy. It's like a chemical reaction passing through. And it always changes. It's always changing its form. But we're so scared of our feelings. We're like, don't come up, don't come up, don't be that. We're always trying not to be what, and there's nothing to be afraid of. It just is pretending that there's something to be afraid of.
Yeah, it's and it's clearly to see that the suffering is like because it's together with the thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I already have had like very strong heart beating, like as if the heart is blowing up, and if there is no idea that it's a problem, it is no problem.
Yeah, and this is also a very good thing, because what's happening in the body when that heart starts pounding is that the body is being told it's going to die, because that's its next defense. If you don't stop all these feelings, I'm going to die, and it's like that's its ultimate defense, and that's not even something to be afraid of, because you don't die. You cannot die. You can never die. And then it will start saying you're going to die. This is the end. But this isn't true. This is only in a dualistic way of thinking.
Yeah, I try. I will try it. I don't feel so like I mean, sometimes it happens that you get a strong poof, like a strong pain in the body, which lasts only 2 or 3 seconds. And then sometimes comes the thought, oh, maybe I'm dying now. But this never gave me fear. This idea of dying does not give me...
What gives you fear is the idea of life.
Yeah, like what all the unpleasant things which can happen in life, this gives me a lot more fear than death.
Yeah, the fear of the pain of it,
Yeah. Yeah. And then there is one question.
It's okay, you can take your time.
Yeah. Like the last times you spoke, I heard you like several times. It sounded like a lot of people are waking up now, and also a lot of people before this are passing through intense suffering. But sometimes I thought, well, maybe it's also possible that you suffer a lot and you never wake up.
It is an impossibility. You can't stay who you believe yourself to be. That can't stay, that illusion. Nothing can stay forever in this world. So there's only one way this is going, and that is home. It's just the way that we see it in the human time world is how long you spend walking around the mountain. But there's only one destination, and that is home, because that's where you've always been. So even though you've dreamt that you've gone to all these wild places and that you can't wake up or that you're stuck, ultimately there only ever has been home presenting itself as this illusion. So there can't be anyone that doesn't wake up. There's nobody that's left out. No one can get outside of this. No one can step outside of beingness. But what tends to happen, pardon me, is the tendency is, or I don't know why, but prior to awakening, there tends to be lots of flip-flopping. So, and that flip-flopping can get quite extreme. So opening to this, and then closing and deep contraction. And often when people phone in, often they're in deep contraction, because when you're in, when there's not that contraction there and there's simply this, then the most probably wouldn't be the thought to call in. There could be, and it's lovely hearing from people that don't feel like there's someone, but normally they call in when they have a problem.
Yeah, it was like I was also scared of phoning in, and then I got this strong panic attack, and I thought, no, it can be worse, so it doesn't matter, I can even phone in.
That's great. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I like to talk to you, but I was also scared
Yeah,
to have 90 listeners.
Yeah, 95 now.
Yeah,
You've been
so.
popular. You've gone up 5. Oh, it was
So
lovely.
if something interesting happens, I can send you a message how,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and if you feel like it's too much to do, it's okay. You haven't failed. Just, do it. Try it again another time. If it feels like it's too much, then you can just put your headphones back on and it can balance it out. When I'm in the
yeah,
aeroplane, I have terrible vertigo, and I have these special headphones that you put in, and it takes out a lot of the sound. You put on a little battery, and then it balances me.
these are exactly these.
Oh yeah.
The quiet comfort,
Yeah.
yes. Hmm?
And maybe you're suffering from extreme case of vertigo, and but often because of my memory problems, I forget to put my battery in, and so then I get up there and I've forgotten new batteries, and I'm like, ow, and so then I can't move.
But then you have just the body sensations. You don't have a lot of thoughts about it.
No, and I fly all the time, but I do. There's experience of fear. It's very, very confusing for my body, and my vertigo seems to be getting worse. Recently, I was on the flight back from LA to I don't know where I was going. Where was I going? Holland or somewhere. And when we took off, it was in the big aeroplanes are easier for my body to stabilize. So I love long flights. The shorter and the smaller the plane, the harder it is for me to stabilize. And this flight, when we took off, I could not find down, and I couldn't get where down was. And it's, in one way, it's very exciting and beautiful, but I couldn't feel the sensation of what way was down. I didn't know what way up I was. And I tried to move to go to the toilet, and I just couldn't get balance. And I think the battery on my headphones had gone, so I couldn't move my body. The body couldn't get up to. It didn't know which way up was. It was so confused.
You mean that you thought maybe you are glued to the ceiling with your feet?
I just can't get balance. I can't find, so I can feel like the aeroplane's turning, and we'll be perfectly. I could feel like I'm falling, and we're perfectly flat. I just I just can't get balance. It's a really fun thing actually, vertigo. If anybody suffers from it, they'll know what I'm talking about. It's fun in the sense of it's exciting because it feels like you're on a roller coaster, but it's also really confusing, and it can produce like a lot of adrenaline in my body. But these headphones are fantastic for balancing me out. But maybe you have
Well,
vertigo, and maybe when that sound comes through, you're feeling there's you can't find gravity.
well, I'm like I can go, for example, in a lift with crystal, with glass all around, and look down without any problems.
Oh yeah, it's
So,
not necessarily to do with heights,
mm,
because I can be okay sometimes with heights. It's more to do with if something is moving. I get it. So if I'm in a high building, I can feel the building sway, and
mm,
then I lose my balance. So it's not necessarily heights. It's to do with that movement underneath me that sets me going. It's a disbalance in your ears or something.
mm.
Like you haven't got enough hairs in your ear.
People get, that's funny. Usually people try to get the hairs out of the ear.
There's too much wax and hairs aren't balanced. I don't know. It's
Mm.
something. I should go to the doctors and do something about it if it's going to get worse. Oh, well, lovely speaking with you.
Thank
It
you.
was nice to
So
see
I'm
you.
just curious too.
Yeah, yeah, let me know how it goes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So sweet.